we are live in the group. Let's see. Can you all see us? Let's refresh. I hope. Let's check the announcements page. Okay, this video is now live. Here we go. I can see us. Excellent. Okay, guys, if you are here, say hello. Let us know you're watching. Let us know you're tuning in. Pop a comment and tell us where you're watching from. Everyone, this is Sam from Eventify.
Hi.
While we're waiting for people to join, can you tell us a little bit about Eventify?
Absolutely. So Eventify are a UK-based event management agency. So we offer a number of different event services, from free venue finding to full event management. Obviously, the event management this year looks a little bit different to what we're used to, but we do on-site event management as well as virtual events. So we can basically be an extension to your team, and take some pressures off of you guys, really. And if it's just venue finding, then it's a completely free service. So for all you time poor EAs, then we can certainly help to give you a little bit more time back in the day for stuff that you need to do a little bit more urgently.
Amazing. Okay, so now that I can see people are joining, I can see we've got Emma and Jen, and we've got, who's joining us from Philly? Because, guys, just so you know, the platform that we're using so that we can both be on here, Facebook doesn't like people doing multiple personalities on Facebook Live, so you need to use a third-party app. And all of you appear as Facebook user. We don't actually see your names in the program that we're using, so feel free to say hi and tell us who you are. I've got someone from London, someone from Philly, and you're welcome, the people who are saying thank you. So we're really, really lucky that we've got Sam with us. Basically, I met Sam and her business partner, Becky, probably about 18 months ago, I think it was, at the I think it was PA Life's, the PA show. And in London, that's a really big kind of PA conference where you can be, they do like a matchmaking service with suppliers. So you put in your preferences for the kinds of people that you want to meet, and then you're matched up with those suppliers on the day and you get one-on-one meetings. And the thing that was really nice about that event was that usually you're, as the assistant, you're walking around the venues and you're going to lots of different stalls. And at this one, they actually saved your feet for the day and you got a nice little booth. And it was kind of like speed dating with suppliers. And it was really, really good. And as soon as I met Sam and Becky, I was like, oh my God, I really want them to help out with the True Phone Christmas party. Didn't think I was going to have a budget to do it. And then I discovered that using an event planner is incredible and I will never turn back and I will never throw another party without them. So that's how I met Sam. We threw a fantastic True Phone Christmas party last year when we were all allowed to be together. We had food trucks at the Museum of London, and we had, you know, burgers and fries and all kinds of things, as well as I don't even know how we would describe them. They were like a hip hop brass band. Yes, they were fantastic. Yeah. So, we've got Aisha from London. We've got Phoenix, Arizona, Mary Beth from the States. And so before we kick off, Eventify can do, particularly now that we're doing virtual events, you can do events for our friends in the US as well as in the UK and all over the place. Is that correct?
Absolutely, yeah. We particularly virtually, we can pretty much help anybody globally. A couple of weeks ago, we actually did a global conference, and I was based in Australia, although sadly I was sitting in my office at home. I was just overnight, so we can fit with your time zone, basically. Obviously, if we're physically delivering something, it's a little bit trickier, but certainly still possible. So yeah, the virtual world brings us a lot closer together.
Brilliant. So kicking off, what would you say are some of the most popular virtual events you're doing for parties and team building?
It's a real mix, to be quite honest. And the virtual world is your oyster, really, when it comes to events. The real winners at the moment have been virtual horse racing, and we've got a virtual reindeer racing in development for Christmas. So hopefully that will be here in time to get a bit of festive cheer in there. So basically, groups are it's all held on Zoom, so it's really accessible, and the guests are split into groups, and then they get given fun money or virtual fun money in order to play the game with. So you can train the horses, you can sabotage the horses, you can bet on the horses, or we can do a simplified version where it's literally just betting on the horses. Obviously no money's actually involved, and it's just a really fun activity. We've been packaging those up as well to make it sort of more of a hybrid event and sending out sort of a day at the races hamper, so you get some bubbles, some nibbles, and just some general bits and pieces to make you feel like you're at an actual event, or certainly a day at the races. And then a couple of clients have taken it further and done fancy dress within that. So a bit like Royal Ascot, you can only get into certain enclosures with a fascinator or top hat on. Our clients have drawn on that theme as well, to bring it all together, so that you can only join in if you've got headpiece on or something like that.
Wow,
so that's really popular, and that's a really accessible activity, because it's all done online, unless you want to add extra bits on. Another really popular event is our Christmas delivered package. So we're working with one of a tech company that will host this for you. So they take care of all of the technical elements and the bits that are actually quite nerve-wracking sometimes for people organising the event. And it's a fully delivered package. So whilst Zoom is great for certain things, it doesn't allow you to really network with people, and it can feel quite static sometimes. Whereas this software is completely bespoke and allows you to move from table to table, albeit virtually. So you can have tables of 2, tables of 4, up to tables of 8. And you get dropped onto a table, and then once you've finished chatting with those people, you can double click and move yourself onto another table. So you can really sort of have the best of the networking and what you would typically enjoy at a Christmas party, which you probably can't do for some things now. And again, we can package that up with a full hamper that's delivered. And what's great about that one is it really feels like a party rather than a team building activity. So we've got live West End singers that come and sing for you, with festive and non-festive music. We have a party host to keep everything going, who also doubles up as our magician. So he does both live stage and table magic, which is great. And we have a palm reader who sits at a table, so you can pop onto that table and have your palms read. And
that's amazing.
Bingo, we love a bit of bingo, so throwing that in, which is obviously us Brits will know what the bingo fun's all about, but a bit of virtual bingo thrown into the mix as well. So we can really add anything and everything involved, so it's not just a static watch something on Zoom. And
you mentioned having a host. I know that we had a chat about that the other day when we were catching up. So you can actually hire kind of an MC or a compere if you just want somebody to keep the energy and the momentum going.
Absolutely.
And keep the costs down. If you want to do some of the activities yourself, you can hire somebody to just come in and host, basically.
Definitely. So we've got a client that's actually doing that in a couple of weeks. They've picked an activity, but they also want to do a company update. So rather than it being a standalone activity, then another Zoom meeting for the company update and their awards, we've basically brought it all together for them, and brought in a host, just to keep a bit of energy going, and it's not someone that you see day in day out on Zoom, and they've got a bit of buzz about them to keep things going, and we can throw in Kahoot quizzes, or we can host your quiz for you with that party host. So it's really, I personally think it really makes the event. Yeah. And it just keeps a little bit of fluidity going, and it's a really, really cost-effective way of doing things. So you take the onus of the content, I suppose, and the platform of how you host it, and then we can sort of bring it to life.
That's amazing. So with something like horse racing, because that's been so popular, is that are we talking the lower end of the budget or the higher end of the budget, or you can throw as much budget as you want at something like that?
So the standard horse racing package is probably one of the most cost effective. So if you had a budget of around £25 a head, then that would be absolutely achievable for just the standalone package. If you wanted to add on the hampers and things like that, then that's when you start seeing the prices increase. So anything that's completely virtual can be really quite achievable with a £25 a head budget.
Somebody was just asking in the group, are these options totally virtual? So they are totally virtual. And when we say hybrid, we're referring to sending, if you want to do something like send a hamper or a gift or a cocktail kit or something like a physical package along with the virtual event to accompany it.
Absolutely. So the perfect example for a hybrid event, for example, is one we're doing this week, which is a gingerbread house making and decorating. So it's a bit of a bake-off. So everybody has been sent their equipment kits this week with all of their ingredients and everything they'll need, really. And then at 4 o'clock on Thursday, they'll be dialing in to a hosted Zoom call, and a chef will cook them along the gingerbread making process, and then we're throwing in a competition to have those decorated as well. So that's the virtual hybrid sort of split, I suppose. If you have something delivered physically to your door, it's hybrid, and if not, it can be completely virtual.
Yes, so for our American friends, hamper equals gift bag. I know that we're not referring to sending people laundry hampers. We're talking about gift baskets.
Life's not got that bad.
And Jen loves bingo. I love bingo too. I used to host bingo on cruise ships, and I absolutely loved calling out my legs 11.
Yeah, absolutely. Fun. Like you learn something about people every day.
You really do. So in terms of budget, how does working with a company like Eventify work? Because I know that when I went to the PA show, one of the things that I didn't put on my matchmaking card, I think we actually met by chance there, was I didn't meet any event planners because I thought there's just no chance I'm going to be given a budget for an event planner. And what I didn't realize is that it's ridiculously affordable to be able to get somebody else to help you out with this stuff. So how does that work?
Absolutely. So we at Eventify pride ourselves on trying to be an extension of your team, really. So we do one of two things, really. We can either take the full package for you, and we charge for our event management fees based on the project that's in front of us. But we also do a free venue finding service. And if I'm being completely transparent, we take a commission from our venues, and that doesn't they swallow that, basically. So it doesn't mean that you are paying anything else extra. We are just taking a sort of finder's fee directly from the venue. So it's a win-win situation for you guys, really, because we do all the legwork for you, and then you can contract the venues directly, and it doesn't cost you a penny extra, basically. But we find the venues, and quite often, because we have a lot of buying power with venues, we can get better rates actually than you can for standalone events. So most of the time that's how we tend to work with clients. And then for the larger events, when you do have a bit more budget, we can work with you from conception and venue find all the way through to delivering the event on the day. So like we did with you for True Phone, we actually delivered the event on the day for you, and we make sure we're delivering exactly what you need, rather than charging you for every service under the sun and you're not actually using them. We will bespoke price everything for your particular brief. So we'll sit down, we'll look at the brief, what exactly you're looking for, what help do you need, and then we will bring that all together for you. So it can be really accessible.
It was amazing. So that you guys, I know this is a little bit different for virtual events, but so that you have an idea of what it's like working with an event planner, because I just think that so many EAs don't understand. They hear event planner and they just hear, I don't have a budget for that. And they just keep wanting to do it themselves. And we're used to having to do so many things ourselves and run so many meetings on our own that we think, I'll be the quiz master and I'll be the host and I'll be sending out the gift bags. And to have one point of contact who I know that, Becky from Eventify came with me to look at the event, to walk around. She had the giant list of all of the questions. She already knew, is ticking off everything about the tables and the entrances and the coats. And so it was so wonderful to have somebody come with you that was thinking of the stuff that I hadn't thought of. And I've done events and I wasn't thinking of some of this stuff. And having someone to also do the negotiation for you and to be able to bargain on your behalf, to manage the contract so that everything's going through that single point of contact is just amazing. And it takes off such a weight. We do have a question in here about, particularly if you're doing events in the US, how do you source the drop-off locally?
So in terms of actually physical gifts, it would really depend on what you're looking for. We would, if it's just US based or just one international company, then we would source someone on the ground really to find a delivery that works. Obviously, if we can internationally ship things, then we do that as well, dependent on timeline. So it's really dependent on what your requirements are. If you're looking to bring international groups together for a specific activity, I would suggest doing a virtual event, fully virtual. And then if you wanted to send a gift, you can do so. The other ways we've got around it is if the people in the UK or Ireland are getting sent certain things for an event, then we can source gift vouchers to send to people internationally, and they can pick up their own bits and pieces. So it really depends on budget and what you guys are looking to achieve, I guess.
That's amazing. And what about how you deal with really large groups online? So at TruePhone, we have 479 employees in 14 different countries. So I know that some of our EAs are going to be from huge organizations that have thousands of people. How do you deal with things like quizzes if you've got a massive group?
So it really depends on the platform that you're using and how much interaction you want between people. So if you want to just speak to people and get a message across in a business sort of way, then we have some great platforms that we have access to. So the virtual event that I referred to on Australian time, that was a global conference really, and just a business message. So we built this platform that people logged into, and then they could watch the live content or the pre-recorded content, depending on what it was, happen at the time. And then they could use a chat function to be able to interact with other people that are dialed in. That doesn't give you such a networking opportunity, whereas something like what we're packaging for Christmas, our Christmas delivered package where you can move around the tables, that is really, you can fit as many people as you want. I think about up to 1,000 people, I think it is. And you have different floors. So on the left-hand side of the screen, you have like an escalator style thing that you can click between the floors, and you can hop on each one, and you have about 100 people on each floor. So we can manage the numbers like that. So we're doing anything from 12 people at the moment to 500 people. So it's a real mix. And I think where we come in is we would take what your vision is and take what you think would be a really good activity, and we would look at what's been done with your group sizes, your group demographic, and advise you on what would work really well, and whether that's what platform would suit you, and whether or not it's going to give you what you're trying to achieve really, whether that's the business message or just having a bit of fun.
Right. So if we're talking on the lower end of budget, and maybe we're smaller groups and it's not a big budget party, and it might be a team Christmas social or something like that for a dozen people, and I'm guessing if we're saying lower budget, we're talking say under $50 a head or under $40 a head. What are some of the other options that you would recommend that are kind of in that range?
So some real fun ones are murder mystery. So you turn into what we in the UK know as Cluedo. So you're basically given a crime that's been committed, and you've got to try and find who done it, basically. So you break off into teams and work against that puzzle. There's virtual escape rooms, which are really popular at the moment, and are great for teamwork. And then there's the more tongue-in-cheek type of thing. So I don't know if you've seen Taskmaster on telly at the moment, the game show. Basically, you're set tasks to go and do silly little things, and we can recreate that. So it's a bit of a game show. You're sent off on a scavenger hunt to find 5 items within your house. Who gets it back quicker? Those sorts of things, or sing the alphabet backwards. Silly little tasks. That's not really about team building. It's just about having fun.
Right.
So there's a real range of options that you can do, and it depends what you really want to achieve.
What would you recommend for the people who are, doing a small event for just their team and they're trying to run it themselves, whether it's a quiz or something like that? What makes a successful online event?
So I think it's thinking about your technology, who's hosting that, who's bringing it all together, and how's it actually going to run? Because otherwise you fall into it's just another Zoom call. And I think given we're in lockdown 2 in the UK now, everybody's a bit done with working from home, looking at their computer and seeing you or I sitting in our front room or our home office trying to bring it all together. Whereas if you were to have a host who's not part of your company but has been briefed on exactly what your ethos is and what you're about, and can talk as though they're there at your event. It's just like having an MC. We can have backdrops behind, so it's a bit more themed and you can't just see my vase and all of that sort of stuff. So it just ties up the loose ends really, and it takes the pressure away from you, because if you're trying to do everything, I think you were telling me about, I had a client who was telling me she tried to run a quiz online and she had her husband doing this scoring, and it's not worth the stress for such a small amount of money. You can get a host, you can get a hosted activity, and it just really brings everything to life.
Yeah, so whether it's a quiz or a magician or just an MC to literally keep the flow going.
Yeah.
And I think it keeps the energy up. Otherwise, as you said, it just feels like another Zoom call. Like, absolutely. I know that a lot of us don't have budgets these years for parties, and we're doing all kinds of creative things to at least have some sort of celebration. But what I am noticing in the EA How-To group is a lot of people saying that they weren't given a budget at all like they usually would be. And now that we're getting really close to Christmas, people, because they think it's online, they think, oh, well, you should be able to just whip that up overnight. And it takes a lot of planning still, but with a small budget, even doing it online, you can still do a lot, because I know that people have been doing, chocolate classes and cocktail making classes and all kinds of things. Yeah. And whether that is just having somebody host it, or if you manage to get a budget to send those little packages to people, which is really, really wonderful, doing it as a gift. It's just such a handy thing that you can do to bring people together at this time of year, even though you can't physically be together.
Absolutely. We've got a really cost-effective option actually, which is a cook-along. So it's a cookery school, and you can either pay the £80, I think it is, 80 something pounds, to have everything delivered to you, or you can just send everybody a list and they can pop off to the supermarket and buy their own bits and pieces, or you can meet in the middle and send them a supermarket voucher within their kit, and you get an apron and a hat, and it all feels a little bit themed. And then you that can really tick every budget box, and then you all dial in at the same time and you cook along and you sit down and you eat the same meal, and it just feels a little bit normal. The other thing is what time you do these activities, because it does feel a bit odd grabbing a glass of wine and sitting in front of your computer at 7 o'clock at night and your partner's sitting downstairs or something like that. Whereas if you do it at the latter end of your working day, you're not actually eating into people's free time within lockdown. So having something at 4 till 6, you're not actually asking people for much of their own time, and you're not losing much of the business day either. So I think that's quite a key thing to think about when you actually want to deliver it. The other thing that's been quite popular is doing family-friendly things. So I mentioned gingerbread making, and that's quite popular for families. So doing that on a Saturday lunchtime and getting the kids involved. So it depends what your company's used to, really, and who you want to say thank you to.
That's really, really nice. Somebody's asking, are there any potential hidden costs to watch out for? I would think there are far less with doing online events than things that you're doing where you're using a venue and you've got bonds and that kind of stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's not really many costs. I think the only thing I would say is popularity of the events. So I was saying to you, Alicia, before we came live, one of our clients wasn't really sure how popular the event would be, so signed up for 100 people and then opened up their sign-ups, and they've had over 400 registrations because everybody's keen to do it.
Right.
So that's something to be mindful of. Obviously your costs jump up, but like you said, there isn't really many hidden costs. It depends how grand you're going to go, but we're very open and upfront, and we bring everything together for you. So as Eventify, we will send you a proposal that lists everything. So unless your guest numbers are going to increase massively, then really you've got everything up front before you make that commitment.
That's amazing. What, just personally for you, what do you find are some of the most fun events? Like any budget, big budget, small budget, what do you like doing?
I personally like the cook along things, but I'm a little bit of a baker at heart.
Yeah.
So I do love a bit of a bake off. So I think those are the fun ones, and it shows people's creative side as well. I like that we're doing around the world option, so that sort of gives you the bit of the travel bug that we're all, I think, missing at the moment. So you're basically a race against the clock around the world, so you work as a team to jump from country to country and answer questions and do country specific things to get around the world. We are also doing a house party option, which it hasn't had the uptake that I think it should have, because personally I think it would be really fun, and it's hosted by Pat Sharp, which I don't know if everybody knows who Pat Sharp is, but he used to do a really cheesy TV program called The Fun House, and he's going to be hosting with Ben Hanlon, who was a magician on Britain's Got Talent, I think it was. And we're basically bringing it all together, so it's just a night of variety fun, really.
And does this have anything to do with the House Party app, or it's just you're calling it House Party? Okay.
No, it's just called House Party. Someone knows who Pat Sharp is.
Someone's saying Pat Sharp.
You're gonna have to Google him if you don't know him.
I love it.
And all I can think of is
Fun
house music now. But that we can do some shared night options as well. So I don't know if you've ever done joiner parties where you pay per ticket and have 10 tables or whatever it would be at a larger party. The house party option does come with that, so you can have you can just have a few tickets at it. So it's less interactive, less teamy, but it is a good night and a bit of fun, to be quite honest.
Something I hadn't actually considered. Are there any insurance risk assessments or GDPR considerations with virtual events?
Limited, to be honest. And because we source suppliers for it, so we're the conduit between you and making it happen, that's mostly taken on by the suppliers. So the food safety and all of that sort of stuff when food's involved is all taken care of by the people that are sourcing that equipment for you. So I don't think there's too much for you to really worry about.
I know that when I was organising gifts for everyone this year at TruePhone, it's, as I said before, 479 people. And the way I dealt with addresses, because HR cannot just go giving you everybody's home address. And not only that, there's a lot of expense if people haven't updated their address. And one of the last things you think to do is log into my HR profile and let work know that I moved a few months ago. I actually sent out an email with a link to our HR site that just said, basically it was a Microsoft Teams form, and the form only had 2 questions on it, and one statement and 1 question, and it was, this is how you check in PeopleSource to make sure your address is up to date. These are the instructions for how you update it if it's not. Can you confirm that your address is up to date and you're happy for your address to be released to receive a Christmas gift? And everybody did it in about 8 minutes. It was record breaking Microsoft Forms time. But so I just have a record now and in a spreadsheet that has everybody's name and email saying, yes, my address is up to date, and yes, you can use it to send a gift. So the company that I have used for gifts previously, I then just export the spreadsheet. It's uploaded to their secure system, and all of the mailing out is done through them. So I don't even, no one else in the company needs to touch anybody's address. I only need HR to provide it to me with the address, and I've got the record that you gave permission to do that. So apart from remembering that you're dealing with people's personal address, I don't think there's a great deal to worry about. I mean, everyone, if there are food allergies and things like that and you're doing a bake-off, then they're going to tell you, it's probably easier, if anything, because you're not worrying about a restaurant serving food to somebody who has a food allergy, because they're going to have the kit at home.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is a lot of people have moved back to family homes or whatever it may be during the pandemic, so aren't necessarily at their HR given address. So we've just found what's worked well is sending a blanket email to everybody and saying, can you send us the best postal address, or put it in this form, or however you want to create it, and it will be used for this gift purpose only. And they just tick that box to say that that's absolutely fine. And you'd be surprised that as soon as you offer something for free or something fun, everybody's going to jump at that. So
I blew our HR department out of the water. They had their engagement survey not long ago, and they're talking about, they're 75 and then up and around 80% rate. And I said, all you need to do is offer them a gift, because within 8 minutes I had 2/3 of the company. So much so that they basically took down Microsoft Forms for a period. So offer people a gift and they'll be more than happy to update their address and confirm the details are correct all of a sudden.
Definitely.
Do you have any other questions while we have them here? Before we wrap up, I'm wondering if you're talking kind of dream event, even though it's online, what kind of stuff can you do if you're one of the very lucky people who have been given an epic budget?
So,
I mean, the palm reader sounds pretty amazing. You've got a palm reader and a magician walking around virtual tables. I don't know.
Absolutely.
And up.
We have a live party band. So obviously they're live to you guys watching, but virtually. And they can take requests. So I don't know if you've ever been to an event or had an event where there's a roaming band, basically, and you have singers and musicians walking around, and they'll come up to a group and say, hey, what do you want me to play? And you'll say Uptown Funk or whatever that might be. You can do that virtually. So they can be playing, they're in their own studio, socially distanced or looped in together, depending on how it works. And then during breaks and what have you, you can use the chat function to speak to them and put your requests in, basically. So that becomes a bit more of an engaging way of having music, because some people can find that a bit static, because you could just be watching it on the telly. So party bands that you interact with are really, really cool. Like we said, the magician. So if we're doing it with hampers, we tend to send out a few playing cards within the hampers, so that the magician can do a trick with everybody virtually, which works really cool.
That's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think if you've got a big budget, it's throwing lots of entertainment, so pockets of entertainment in there to keep the momentum going, and also having that hybrid element. People are really, really responding to that. Whether it's just a bottle of wine and some chocolate brownies being sent at the lower end of the scale, or it's a Just Eat voucher, so everybody orders a takeaway at the same time on the Friday night that you're dialed in, or it's a full-blown hamper that you want to spend £150 on. So there are so many options, but I think it's keeping the entertainment level up and making sure there's engagement from everybody.
And somebody else is saying that they've seen a bespoke comedy virtual show. That's amazing as well.
Absolutely.
There's so much you can do. I mean, you can actually kind of more because it's online, and interact with your colleagues from other countries as well that you wouldn't normally get a chance to. I know that was one thing that we really enjoyed about the scavenger hunt that we did, was that it's the first time that we've ever actually had an event where our colleagues in Manila and in Portugal and in Spain and France and the States, everybody was able to participate. Usually, obviously, it's country-specific parties. So it's a great chance to get to know people from other areas of the company that you wouldn't normally necessarily have contact with.
It really is. We've had a client that's actually done a virtual event every month since August, I think, just to bring the teams together. And once we got over the time zone barrier, everybody's dialing in from America to Portugal to Russia, I think.
Yeah, you're saying that it was really popular, so they don't even need to RSVP. It's just held like at basically lunchtime on the last Friday of every month, and people can just come on in, and it's a different activity each time, which is fantastic. That's amazing.
It's really bringing people together, and also gives the CEO or whoever it may be 5 minutes of people's attention, and each month the dial-ins increased. So it started off quite low because I think people didn't really know what to expect, and then word spreads and they say, oh, that's a really good way to spend your hour, dial in or whatever, and now we're up to, I think it's 150 people we've got this week for a Family Fortunes game show. So
I think a big part of it is just convincing people that it's actually going to be fun, that it's not lame, it's not just another Zoom, and you really have to put as much effort into promoting a virtual event as you do any other Christmas party.
Absolutely. I think it's a lot easier to attend, and it's a lot more accessible for people. You don't have to eat into people's evenings necessarily, and all of those sorts of things that are the positive, but it's getting people to understand that it's actually worth their while, it's worth their couple of hours, or it will be fun. You can just nip in and nip out if you want to, and it's getting that message across.
So thank you so much for your time. I know we have some people asking for your contact details. I am going to post Eventify and Sam's details in the group so that we've got plenty of information to post there for you about different activities. And I really, really encourage you to not assume that it's crazy expensive, because there's so much that can be done on a really solid budget. And as Sam was saying, you know, they have connections and they get much better deals because they're buying so much more. So even if you have a small group, I'd really encourage you just to reach out and find out, because you'd be surprised at how many things you can do on, you know, that £25-30 budget.
Absolutely. I think for us, it's really just being open with us. And like I said, we're an extension of your team. We're not going to judge. We're not going to go, oh, no, we can't do anything for that. You tell us quite openly, we've got 25 people and we've got £25, and we will tell you what's possible, and whether what your vision and grand plan is feasible or not, or what we can do to make it work. So it's not... Don't be afraid to come to us. We won't laugh at you. Don't worry. We have had some McDonald's budgets before, and we've managed to work thing out. So we can 9 times out of 10 find you something. I would urge you though, because virtual events have gone through the roof, that dates are getting booked up, particularly for December. So do get in touch and think about when and how you want to do it. Maybe it's a January event. I mean, we can still do it in December, but just bear that in mind. It's getting super busy, so act quick. And
postage times if you're wanting to do hybrid events as well.
Definitely.
Amazing. Thank you so much. It's been really lovely chatting with you.
Absolutely. Thank you. It was lovely to chat. Speak to you soon.
I will post all of the information in the group, guys, and we'll see you again soon. Oh, and before you go, everybody who's still online, don't forget that tomorrow we have another free event. This one's on Zoom, and it's fostering health and wellbeing in the workplace. We have Jack, who's the founder of Livite, another company that we use at TruePhone that I highly recommend. And we have Alice, the founder of Canary Wharf PA Club. She's a mental health first aider and is going to be talking about that. We have Philippa Richardson, who's the founder of the Circle Line, which is a really amazing mental health company that they work with businesses to provide incredible mental health and wellbeing services to corporates. So jump in, and we're going to be chatting all things, again, all different budgets, things you can do to increase employee wellbeing, particularly at this time, whether that is through becoming a mental health first aider or making use of really affordable services like Livite, or if you've got the kind of budget where you're able to go for one-on-one counselling that's all confidential with a company like the Circle Line. So jump into that chat. That is going to be on Zoom, so you need to register eahowto.com. Just click on the link there for events, and you'll be able to register for free for tomorrow. And that's at 6 p.m. London time. Thanks so much, guys. I will post all of the information so you can get in touch with Sam and Eventify in the Facebook group.
Thanks very much. Bye.